Right now, Wisconsin fans from Madison to Pasadena are rooting for the Badgers to win the granddaddy of them all. We'll hear from fans as the Rose Bowl continues tonight. And a Madison man is among those making the trip to Illinois to buy recreational marijuana legally for the first time. Plus, a Madison nightclub is closed for the next 3 months after ongoing safety issues. An update on the changes they'll be making.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
Happy New Year's to all of you, and thanks for joining us. It is halftime at the Rose Bowl. Right now in Pasadena, it's Badgers 17, Ducks 14. While much of Wisconsin is taking in the Rose Bowl on this New Year's Day from here at home, tens of thousands of others are out in sunny California. Eric Franke found them before they entered the stadium, and for some of them, it's an emotional experience.
It's every Badger fan's dream to end the season here in Pasadena, but imagine if your son was a member of the Badgers playing his final game right here in the Rose Bowl.
You know, I mean, I'm excited, but I'm a little sad today. I'm not going to lie. It's been a great experience, so great way to finish it off.
So, I mean, for parents, this is really special, right, to get to come to a Rose Bowl and his final game.
It's kind of special. My husband, we woke up today and we said, wow, my kid's playing in the Rose Bowl today. It's pretty exciting.
Well, when you grow up in the Midwest, I mean, the Rose Bowl is where, I mean, you grew up as a little kid watching these games, dreaming of playing in them, and I never got a chance to play in them, but to have your son on his 5th year, I mean, I could cry right now just talking about it. It's an emotional experience. I'm just so proud of him and excited for him to have this opportunity.
And join us tonight after the game for all the post-game coverage and reaction from fans and players from the 106th Rose Bowl game, the Badgers and the Oregon Ducks. In Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, Eric Franke, News 3 Now.
Thousands of Badger fans are back home, too, rooting them on. Our Keely Arthur is live at one of the biggest watch parties over at Lucky's 1313. Hi, Keely.
Hi, Charlotte. Yeah, it's a little loud here at Lucky's 1313 off of Regent Street for good reason. Badger fans are really excited. The Badgers are actually ahead of the Ducks, as you mentioned, right now. Badger fans, though, cautiously optimistic about this game. Let's not forget, we've been to the Rose Bowl a number of times. I'm actually wearing the t-shirt from 2012 when I went to Pasadena, only to watch the Badgers lose to the Ducks. We are really hoping we don't repeat history this time around, but no matter what happens, Badger fans always really cheerful, and this is really good for businesses this time of year with students out for winter break. Business is always a little slow during this time of year. In fact, it's slow for State Street bars as well. So businesses say this Rose Bowl game coupled with the New Year's Eve parties is a welcome change. And fans here say having the team always gives them a big boost of energy on a normally pretty lazy New Year's Day otherwise. And let's not forget the Badgers, like I mentioned, have been to many Rose Bowl games before, a handful in just the last 15 years, but without any wins. Fans say they are not going to think about that today.
I do, but we are taking that out of the picture today, and we're going to have a win.
I think the mood is still cheerful, though. I mean, like I said, the fans are diehard, and they support the team no matter what, and that's the cool thing about being a Badger.
And Lucky's did say they were packed last night because of the New Year's Eve festivities. They doubled up on orders for beer and liquor for both yesterday and today. And as I mentioned, I was at that 2012 game, Charlotte, with my family, my mother and my sister. I'm here working in Madison right now, but those two made it back to Pasadena. Maybe I was the bad luck charm. I really hope my mom and sister get to witness that win in person, like so many other Badger fans who made the pilgrimage to Pasadena. I'll be rooting them on right here. I'll send it back to you.
All right, make sure they at least bring you back a new shirt. Keely Arthur reporting live from Lucky's 1313 tonight. Keely, thank you. That is the UW-Madison Marching Band rocking out to You Said It All this morning in the 131st Tournament of Roses Parade. Of course, Bucky and the Badgers cheerleaders had their own float decked out with red and white roses. Hundreds of thousands of people were there to see that parade. There were horses, 39 floral decorated floats, 20 marching bands, and plenty of dancing in the streets along the 5.5-mile route. The theme of this year's Rose Parade was the power of hope. To weather now, we have mild temperatures to start the new year. Let's check your first alert forecast with the ever hopeful meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
Yeah, I know some folks are hoping for more snow, but we're really not going to see any big systems on our radar anytime soon. A little bit of snow to the north of us on Doppler track, but that is not going to make its way into southern Wisconsin. Temperatures, as you mentioned, Charlotte, were mild to start off 2020 today. Could be even milder as we get into tomorrow. Platteville on our Queen Bee Radio Skycam, looking at mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures are still pretty mild right now in the upper 30s and low 40s across southern Wisconsin, with wind speeds a bit gusty still out of the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour in spots in and east of Madison. So your day planner, temperatures will really not move all that much, only dropping a few degrees into the 30s because of the clouds, which are really going to stay put into tonight and for much of tomorrow. Even with those clouds, I expect highs to be in the low 40s tomorrow. We'll talk about a gradual cool down on the way into the weekend and for next week in your first alert forecast.
Developing tonight, police in Fond du Lac are investigating reports of gunfire that led to an hours-long standoff. Police received multiple reports of shots fired around 6:30 this morning. Officers also heard them. Police couldn't make contact with people inside a home in the area and sent a SWAT team. Just before noon, 3 people inside came outside peacefully. Officials say one person inside the home was a person of interest, but no arrests were made. There were no injuries. A Janesville man is facing charges for firing off his gun from a balcony in celebration of the new year. Police found shell casings and a gun sitting in the vehicle of a parked car in front of a home on West Home Street and South Franklin Street. That's west of the Rock River. They also saw blood in the car. A SWAT team executed a search warrant and detained 3 people. 29-year-old Zarek Hammett admitted to shooting off his gun to celebrate 2020. There were no injuries, and the blood in the car was not connected to the incident. Fitchburg police are investigating an armed robbery at Panchero's Mexican Grill on McKee Road. Officials say a man demanded money and implied a threat right around 7 o'clock last night. A canine team wasn't able to track him down, so anyone with information is asked to contact Madison area Crime Stoppers. A Madison resident was the first person to buy marijuana from a dispensary in Rockford on the first day of legal recreational sales in Illinois.
Trying to be number 1 versus number 10.
Danny Connors was 10th in line when Denver legalized recreational sales. He ensured a number 1 spot in line in Rockford by arriving before midnight on New Year's Eve.
It's freedom. When they ask me, what's it mean to you coming so far out, it means I don't have to look over my shoulder.
Connors was not alone in his determination. Some camped out overnight in their cars waiting for the dispensary to open at 6 a.m. Illinois is the 11th state to legalize recreational marijuana. A Madison nightclub with a history of fights and weapons violations is officially closed for the next 3 months. Vision's nightclub closed at 5 o'clock this afternoon. In November, the Madison Alcohol License and Review Committee decided to allow them to stay in business, but they will have to serve a 90-day liquor license suspension. Owners decided to close during that time. They will need to come up with various security upgrades, including new surveillance systems and a weapons screening policy. New at 6, an ice fisher ran into some trouble on the Wisconsin River in WAUSAU this morning. An SUV fell through the ice, and officials say it'll be stuck there for a while. The WAUSAU police chief says the SUV will stay in the water until it is safe to remove. Nobody was injured. Now entering 2020, Wisconsin will, of course, be in the spotlight for the presidential race. It is one of the few states where the electorate is evenly divided, so it could swing either way. And that is the biggest item on the ballot this year. But there's also a race for the state Supreme Court. That'll be decided on Tuesday, April 7th, which is the same day as the presidential primary. In the fall, 99 members of the state assembly and 16 state senators will be decided. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, lots of people recovering from New Year's festivities today, including new parents who were up all night. We'll meet the first babies of 2020 born in Madison when we come back. Welcome back. A family from Monona got a big surprise to kick off the new year. Just hours into 2020, they welcomed a brand new baby girl. Nora Madeline Elsmo was born at SSM Health St. Mary's Hospital early this morning. Her mom, Andrea, said she wasn't expecting to deliver Nora so soon, but says delivering one of the first babies of the decade is nice because it comes with additional photos and memories from the press coverage.
My dad said he's going to save the paper tomorrow, so we'll see 20 years from now when we show her. She'll probably wonder what a newspaper is, but.
Nora weighs 8 pounds and is 20 inches long, and mom Andrea was also born at St. Mary's 3 decades ago. The first baby born in 2020 at Unity Point Health Meriter Hospital was Jace Eli. He was born at 1:28 this morning and weighed 6 pounds 9 ounces. Parents Ashley and Cameron are from Fall River. Plenty of New Year's festivities across the world overnight, including the Sartori Big Cheese Drop in Plymouth, Wisconsin, of course. For more than a decade, the city has lowered a cheese wedge over the downtown. Plymouth is the self-proclaimed cheese capital of the world. It has 4 cheese plants, including Sartori, Sargento, Master Gallery Foods, and Great Lakes Cheese. More than 500,000 people lined the streets of London today, braving the cold to watch the New Year's Day parade. Every year, organizers rely on Americans to help create the parade soundtrack. CBS's Gwen Baumgardner reports from London.
Drums pounding, horns blaring. 2020 is off to a loud start in London. It's thanks in part to American marching bands, with 21 schools performing in the New Year's Day parade.
Obviously, back in the States, the big parade is the Macy's parade, but this is even bigger than that.
Hendersonville High School traveled 4,000 miles from Tennessee for the chance to march. It took 2 years of planning to get Lake Zurich High School across the pond. Band director Josh Thompson says the trek from Illinois was worth the wait.
These trips are just amazing for these kids. They find out that the world's a lot bigger than just tiny little Lake Zurich.
The parade is in its 34th year and welcomes entertainment from around the world. Nearly half of today's performers are American.
I'm from Ohio.
I'm from Maryland.
I'm from Tennessee.
Performers like Jordan Lee say international visitors make the parade and city so special.
It just shows what London is, really. It's like a whole melting pot of different cultures and different talents as well.
The parade also features motorcycle stunt driving and fire twirling, with bands from the U.S. keeping a steady beat. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, London.
In addition to walking the parade route, each year performers help raise money for London charities. So far, more than $1.5 million has been raised. Coming up, a Washington, D.C. museum that celebrates journalism and First Amendment rights is closing its doors. We'll hear why the museum is forced to close coming up. But first, milder temperatures to start off 2020, but cold and flurries are on the way. Dave has a check on your First Alert forecast. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield joins us now. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
So we're going to start getting to be more like January now, aren't we?
Yeah, eventually. I mean,
that's what the word on the street is.
Yes, and I think I started that rumor. So let me finish it here. We are talking about temperatures eventually getting colder into next week, but a pretty mild start to the year with temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s today, and a great sunset. The first one of 2020 in Monticello. Thank you so much, Russ and Liz, for sending in that photo. And we aren't seeing much in the way of snow today. Well to the north, a weak system is providing some light snow showers and maybe even some sleet in some portions of Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. But we are pretty quiet on radar. We have seen the clouds move in today, and I really don't think they're going to get out of here anytime soon as we get into Friday. Still pretty cloudy outside as well. Our snow depth with those temperatures near 40 today. We did say goodbye to a little bit of snow, but still we do have about an inch on the ground across much of southern Wisconsin with some slightly higher amounts into Sauk and Columbia counties. I don't think much of that will be left over by the time we get through tomorrow because more temperatures in the lower to middle 40s as we get into our Thursday. Madison on the Edgewater Sky Cam, looking at mostly cloudy skies this evening. Temperatures today in the upper 30s for highs, so that's about 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. And temperatures to start 2020, I said there were going to be 20 degrees, 19 degrees. Come on, Mother Nature. We couldn't get that synergy. That's all right. Just a little bit off. But we did dip into the upper or the middle teens to start off the year. And as far as temperatures go for January, this is the month of the year in Madison where we start sort of where we finish typically on average in the upper 20s for highs and low teens for lows. We have been as warm as 58. And as cold as, yeah, we all remember that, minus 37. That's legendary around these parts. Snowfall, typically, we get about 12 to 13 inches of snow. And right now, after starting off at a record-breaking pace, a blazing speed in Madison, we've actually sort of evened out the season where we're about an inch ahead of schedule. But if we keep going like this, as far as the forecast goes, we're actually going to fall behind into the next couple of days. So we'll track some snow events into next week. Not today, though, or tomorrow. We're looking at the clouds staying put, starting off in the low 30s for tomorrow, and then we'll be in the low 40s for highs tomorrow afternoon. Maybe some areas of patchy drizzle. I'm really not seeing any big indications that that will happen. We still could see some flurries as we get later into Friday, but again, that looks pretty isolated as well. 7 to 10-day forecast showing some more flurries possible into early Saturday. Temperatures this weekend will be in the 30s. Then into next week, some light accumulating snow could fall on Tuesday and on Friday as temperatures dip into the 20s for highs into the middle of next week. We'll be right back.
Former NBA Commissioner David Stern has died. The NBA says Stern's death was a result of a brain hemorrhage he suffered roughly 3 years ago. Stern led the league for 3 decades. During that time, the NBA's popularity exploded thanks to Stern and stars like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant. He also oversaw the creation of the Women's National Basketball Association. David Stern was 77 years old. The Milwaukee Bucks released a statement honoring Stern. It says he was, quote, hugely instrumental in the NBA becoming the tremendously popular global league and successful business it is today. During his 30 years as commissioner, he was an extraordinary innovator while demonstrating powerful leadership and remarkable vision that transformed the sport of basketball. They also offered condolences to his family. After a little more than a decade, the museum in Washington, D.C. is looking for a new home. Due to financial pressure, the museum had to close on the last day of 2019, but not before CBS News' Skylar Henry got to explore the history of journalism and the thousands of artifacts inside.
Even on its final day, Judy Furnish can't stop doing what she's done for 8 years.
Norway this year is the best.
Volunteering to show off the museum.
The idea behind the museum and the free press and the First Amendment, to me, it's sad that we don't have an institution like this on Pennsylvania Avenue that's going to be an advocate for that.
The tour guide was joined by thousands of people visiting the museum for the last time. Her favorite exhibit? A map showcasing countries and their levels of free speech.
It's been interesting to see, how countries, where the freedom of the press is and why they're painted a certain one.
Despite the countless treasures inside the space, a lack of funding forced it to shut down. Gene Policinski is president of the Freedom Forum Institute, the foundation behind the museum.
It's kind of like a Broadway show. You open, you have this great run if you're a hit, and every show closes. But it's bittersweet for us.
At the museum's core is the First Amendment of the Constitution. Its triumphs and its shortcomings ripple through the floors with displays from key moments in history and the journalists who were there. Out of the thousands of artifacts that are in the museum, we found this old studio camera that used to help broadcast the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite in 1965 and stay in the studio for the next 25 years. From the mangled antenna of the North Tower of the World Trade Center to the Unabomber's cabin and even an exhibit of the new satire show, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, it's all here. And now, it all must go.
Each one of these exhibits has really been that kind of extraordinary example of ordinary people using their freedoms to change sometimes the entire nation.
The news artifacts are being removed and put into storage. Johns Hopkins University is taking over the building and turning it into graduate studies facilities. The museum hopes to find a new home in D.C., but for now, decades worth of work and the lives risked and even sacrificed to bring it to the world are without a new home. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Staff at the Freedom Forum Institute says if they open a new museum, they'd like to make exhibits a lot more interactive and a lot more engaging to follow the trends of where journalism is headed. We have an update from the Rose Bowl. Oregon just scored minutes ago, so the score is Ducks 21, Badgers 17. We will have the latest updates on the Channel 3000 app. Coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 10, Melissa Kim, Kevin Lewis will have highlights from the game, and Eric Franke will have fan reaction from Pasadena. And we have a final check now with meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
Yeah, temperatures tonight not really moving all that much. Not as cold tonight with temperatures in the 30s or in the low 40s, so still mild tomorrow with cloudy skies. More clouds on the way Friday with a few flurries possible late into Saturday morning. And then our next chance of accumulating snow comes next week.
All right, Dave, thank you. And thank you for watching us. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.